Narcissists are pretty notorious for putting really heavy pressure on us to do things that we don't want to do or that we're really uncomfortable with. And while narcissists certainly are not the only people that might be pressuring you to do things you don't want to do, I think narcissists in particular can turn this into a very difficult problem that can really wreak havoc on your life and your emotional health. And that's what I'm going to go over in today's video. Why narcissists just can't take no for a reason and just won't stop pressuring you. Welcome to Looking Behind the Mirror, where we explore narcissism and take our lives back as we make sense out of nonsense. As a quick disclaimer, everything I say is based on my opinions and my personal experiences. I'm not a professional, and if you're really struggling, I encourage you to seek professional help. I am providing links below for you. So in today's video, I want to go over several reasons that narcissists in particular can really pressure you beyond your comfort zone into doing things that you don't want to do or things that are not in your best interest, and why this can, especially coming from narcissists, cause a lot of emotional damage and maybe even trauma. I want to bring attention to this so that if you are suffering from this in your current situation, or if this is something you have suffered with in your past, I think it's really helpful to become more aware and cognizant of the way that narcissists can pressure us to do things that go against our own intuition, and the ways that this can train us to ignore our own intuition or to become completely disconnected from ourselves and from the things that we want. Narcissists can train us to ignore our needs so much that we don't even know what we need or want anymore, and or we can come to distrust our own intuition and trust other people's judgments over our own. So if that's something that is an issue for you because of narcissistic abuse, the first step towards undoing that is becoming aware of it. So that's the point of this video. First, I'm going to go over reasons that this is such a huge problem with narcissists in particular, and then I'm going to go over things that you can think about for yourself and consider whether or not long-term effects apply to you, whether being pressured in this way is something that you aren't completely cognizant and aware of, or whether or not the effects of it are something that you're not conscious of. So the first issue with narcissists pressuring us into doing things we don't want to do is that narcissists really can't take no for an answer. This is a pretty well-known trait of narcissism. There's the smiling no test that I think Richard Grandin has a really well-watched video that's quite old at this point, where he says that one way you can test the level of someone's narcissism is to, well, now I can't remember. I think the smiling no, to tell them no in a pleasant way and see how they react. Is this person capable of accepting no for an answer? And narcissists generally have an extremely difficult time accepting no for an answer, no matter how politely or pleasantly you tell them no. And this is because for a narcissist, they have this extreme black and white thinking and these extreme insecurities that they deal with, where they need to feel like they're the only thing that matters. Their needs, their preferences, their wants are the only thing that exists. And if they aren't the only thing that matters, then the only other alternative for them is that they don't matter at all. So when you tell a narcissist no, it doesn't matter what your reasoning is. It doesn't matter what your needs are. It doesn't matter how nice you are about it. When you tell them, no, I'm not going to do this thing that you're asking me to do, what they hear is, you know what? You don't matter one bit. I don't care what you think or what you want. You're nothing to me. You're zero, and I'm not going to do what you want. That's what they hear when you try to tell them no, no matter how nicely you say it. And so they don't react very well to that. And that's one reason that it's so difficult to deal with narcissists pressuring you into doing what they want, is they can't just let it go. They can't just accept your no. They will harass you endlessly. They will bring it up over and over and over again. They will come up with a million reasons that you're being selfish or you're being stupid or you owe this to them or whatever. They just can't leave you in peace and accept your decisions that you've made for yourself. And this can be really difficult to manage a relationship with somebody who can't take no for an answer and who can't respect your autonomy and your right to follow your own intuition or to set your own boundaries. Another reason that this is such a big problem with narcissists is narcissists have very unreasonable, unfair, and sometimes impossible expectations. So not only are you trying to tell them no for things that you're not comfortable with, but sometimes you're trying to tell them no for things that are completely unreasonable or totally unfair, things that they're asking you to do that are way beyond your comfort zone, or things that you really, really don't want to do or are not capable of doing. Narcissists have a really distorted perception of what is realistic. They feel like you owe them the world, and if you're not going to do double backflips for them, it's not because you physically can't do double backflips. It's because you just don't care about them and you're not even going to try and you're not even going to listen to them because of these deep-seated insecurities they have. They don't think about what your actual limitations are or how you actually feel about anything. Everything is always all about them. It's really that simple. Absolutely everything is because of them or for them. So if you won't do double backflips, it has to come back to them somehow. So it must be just because you're trying to make their life difficult. It must be just because you don't care about them. That must be the real reason. It doesn't have anything to do with how dangerous that might be for you or how impossible it might be for you or how much you just really don't want to do that, right? It's all about them. And so narcissists will ask you to do things that might put you in physical, in harm's way physically, or they might ask you to do things that might put things in jeopardy, like maybe put your job at jeopardy, or maybe put you in a position where you might face legal consequences or financial consequences. They will ask you to do things that might destroy good relationships. Like, let's say a narcissist is your partner and they are really upset that your sister forgot their birthday, and they're gonna really pressure you to yell at your sister and hold your sister accountable and tell your sister that it's not okay that she forgot your partner's birthday, right? Maybe for you, your sister isn't really that close, especially to your partner, and you never expected your sister to remember your partner's birthday. And so you're kind of bewildered, like, you personally don't feel that it's appropriate or necessary to talk to your sister about the fact that your sister forgot your partner's birthday. Like, you don't think it's a big deal, but your partner's putting all this pressure on you and telling you that if you don't really care about them, you're not willing to defend them, you're putting your sister above them, or you're too chicken to do what you need to do to defend the relationship or whatever, just putting all this pressure on you and demanding that you do something that in your gut you know is not appropriate and is going to do some real damage to maybe a good relationship you have with your sister. This kind of thing happens all the time with narcissists. Well, they will pressure you into doing things that are very uncomfortable and feel very inappropriate for you, but they will give you all these reasons that you need to do this for their sake, for the sake of the relationship, to prove your loyalty, yada, yada, yada. And they won't accept no for an answer. And you're stuck in this horrible position where you have to either betray your own judgment and your own values and destroy things in your own life, or try to find a way to pacify this unreasonable person with these unreasonable expectations and somehow try to not destroy your life at the same time. And when you're trying to maintain relationships with narcissists, this can be very difficult to do. You will find yourself in situations where you have to choose between really upsetting the narcissist in your life and causing a whole bunch of chaos and tantrums and rage and whatever, and destroying a good relationship you have, or a job, or putting yourself in harm's way just to make them happy. And this can be a really, really painful, confusing, frustrating, really hard place to be in. It kind of feels like somebody shoving a crowbar right into the middle of your soul and just prying you into pieces sometimes, because when the relationship you have with this narcissist is so important, it can be really difficult to just let this person be angry at you when the price of making them happy, or you think things that are going to make them happy, are things that are going to destroy other things that are important to you. Another reason that this is such a problem with narcissists is that narcissists will try to control you for the sake of controlling you. So in the example I just gave, where the narcissist is demanding that you hold your sister accountable and that you call your sister and chew her out for something that actually doesn't matter, right? They don't necessarily care that your sister forgot their birthday. I mean, maybe they do, but it's really not about that. It's about confirming for themselves, reassuring themselves that they have total control over you and your relationships. Narcissists don't like the idea that you're an autonomous person with your own judgment, with your own relationships outside of them, and that you think and do and feel things that have nothing to do with the narcissist. They really need to feel like they have control over your things and the things that have to do just with you. So your relationship with your sister, for example, they need to get in there and control that. And that's how they can make themselves feel important and relevant. And so when they do this, it's really more about that than it is about how upset they are that your sister forgot their birthday. Your autonomy is a threat to a narcissist, because your autonomy is something that is telling them, hey, there's something out here that has nothing to do with you, and my judgment, my values, my opinions take precedence in these things over what you want me to do. When a narcissist has to face the reality that there are things going on in this world that aren't going to put the narcissist's opinion as the top priority, it's really threatening to them, especially when it is with the people in their lives that they see as people that are under their control. And so that can cause a lot of really big problems when the narcissist is just looking for things to boss you around with, to tell you what to do, looking for ways that they can make you uncomfortable and prove to themselves that they can manipulate you into doing things you don't want to do, because that's how important and relevant they are. Another reason that this is such a big problem with narcissists is they will condition you to feel ashamed of your own opinions and needs and your own intuition. They will make you feel like there's something wrong with you. If you're not comfortable calling your sister and chewing her out, it's because something's wrong with you. It's because you must not care about your partner and how bad he or she feels about their birthday being forgotten about. Or let's say the narcissist in your life wants you to go riding motorcycles with them, but you don't feel safe doing that. For you personally, that's not something you're comfortable with, but they're going to pressure you into doing that because that's what they want you to do. And the fact that you're afraid of doing something that is genuinely dangerous, it isn't just a reasonable preference that you have. It's a character flaw. You're a chicken. You're weak. And that's how they will try to make you feel when you have preferences and values and decisions that go against what they want. Your autonomy is a threat, and your values are character flaws when they get in the way of what the narcissist wants. And you can really come to believe this. And this is also really common in cults and high control religion, when the religion or the cult or whatever has rules, is asking you to do things that don't feel right. Like alienating people who have left, maybe, is a good example, and doing things to promote the religion that are very uncomfortable and feel very inauthentic to you. You're made to feel like there's something wrong with you if you don't want to do these things. And it's really similar to the way a narcissist will condition you to believe that you're chicken, or you're disloyal, or you're something bad, and that's why you don't want to do this thing the narcissist wants you to do. It's not because you have your own inner compass and your own values and your own preferences. It's because something's wrong with you. Another problem with narcissists and the way that they pressure you is narcissists don't consider or care about how the thing they're telling you to do is going to affect you. They aren't even thinking about that. They're thinking about themselves and how they feel about themselves and how you can serve their needs. So like with the motorcycle riding, maybe you have very valid, logical reasons to be afraid of riding motorcycles, right? And it is very dangerous. But a narcissist isn't thinking about the physical risk you would be putting yourself at. They're only thinking about what they want and how fun it would be for them and how you're supposed to fit this picture, this image that they've created for whatever relationship you have with them. The fact that you're being put in harm's way doesn't even register. And this is the same with if they're pressuring you to chew your sister out for forgetting their birthday, right? They're not thinking about how it's going to feel for you to destroy this relationship with your sister. They don't care about the things that truly matter to you and are truly going to affect you. And this can be a really big problem, a very insidious problem, when you aren't aware of the true dynamics of this relationship yet, and you're still in a space where you trust this person. I know, at least for me, with relationships I've had with very narcissistic people, there were long periods of time where I absolutely trusted them. And I absolutely believed that they would never put me in harm's way, or they would never ask me to do something that they thought would harm me. And it's only in hindsight that I look back and realize that I don't think they ever even considered that. And I had all this trust that could have really harmed me, could have really ended up putting me in situations where I could have been very, very much harmed. I mean, there were situations where I feel like my life was at risk, and I had so much trust in this person that I couldn't see it. And it's really just kind of dumb luck that I managed to avoid a lot of really horrible consequences that I could have suffered because of the things that the narcissist would pressure me to do. And another thing that you won't realize until it's too late when you're dealing with a narcissistic person is that they will leave you holding the bag. So if they are pressuring you to do something maybe that's a little bit illegal or dangerous, or something that's going to make them look bad, but they're pressuring you to do it, you might think that they're going to have your back if things go wrong. But when things go wrong, they're nowhere to be found, and you're the one left holding the bag. You're the one suffering the consequences and taking the fall for the things that they pressured you to do. And one more thing that makes this such a huge problem when it comes to narcissists is narcissists will they will make their love and acceptance conditional on your obedience. If you tell them no, the fact that they can't accept your no really means that they're conditioning their love and acceptance on your blind obedience, on your blind unconditional loyalty. So they expect absolute unconditional blind loyalty and obedience in exchange for their extremely conditional love and acceptance, which can come and go with the wind, right? But your blind obedience is supposed to be something that they can always count on unconditionally. And even though it sounds really obvious that we shouldn't be selling ourselves out to please somebody who could so easily reject us and so easily withhold their love or their acceptance because we haven't obeyed every little thing they've asked us to do. It's when you're in this situation in real life, it's not that easy to see it clearly and logically because it's really, really painful to be in a relationship of any kind, family, friend, romantic, doesn't matter, a relationship of any kind with someone who you care about. It's really difficult to be in a real life situation where this person is going to abandon you, reject you, withhold their affection, um, and reject you as a human being if you don't do what they want. It's not that easy to just say, well, forget it. I'm not going to do this thing you want me to do, especially when they have all these reasons that you should obey them. You're stupid if you don't do what I say. Here's all the reasons that you're an idiot if you don't do what I say. Or you're proving to me that you don't care about me if you don't do what I say. And here's all the reasons that this is proof that you don't even care about me. Or you owe this to me because I did this and that and the other for you. So how dare you say no to me after everything I've done for you? There's all these reasons that they can make you feel like they are justified in withholding their love or acceptance from you if you don't do what they want. And so it's not always that simple to just look at it clearly and say, oh, this person will only accept me as a human being if I blindly obey every single whim that they have. I mean, when you look at it that way, it's a little easier to see it for what it is. But when they present all these reasons that you owe it to them and that you're a bad person if you don't obey them, it can get really confusing and you can feel very conflicted. And it can feel like if you don't do what they say and they reject you, that it's going to be this huge, huge loss and very, very painful for you, when in reality, you're really not losing anything of value. Now, if this is something that you've dealt with in your life, especially if it's something you've dealt with from multiple people long term, there are a lot of things that I think it could really benefit you to consider and really self-reflect on. I think one long-term effect of being treated this way is even after you get out of these toxic, abusive relationships, you might be very triggered by people who are genuinely trying to help you, people who are making suggestions like, well, hey, why don't you ask for a raise? Or why don't you do this? Or why don't you tell this person that you need them to be nicer to you, or whatever. People that are giving you suggestions for things that really actually make you uncomfortable, you might get very triggered and you might go right back into that zone of, if I don't do what this person wants, they're going to reject me. They're going to think I'm a terrible person. They're trying to control me. And it can be very difficult to deal with that with people that are actually just trying to help you. And you have to kind of take this leap of faith where you test the relationship and build trust in the relationship by telling someone no, by telling someone, I'm actually not comfortable doing that, or, that's a nice suggestion, but I think I'm going to do this instead. When you're in a relationship with somebody who actually cares about you and respects your autonomy and respects your opinion, they might wonder why you're not taking their suggestion. Maybe they'd even be a little perturbed, but they're not going to feel like you're the worst person in the whole world. And they're not going to try to shame you and force you into doing what they want. They're not going to take it as a personal blow to their ego that you're not willing to do every little thing that comes to them on a whim. But it can be difficult to trust in that when you're so used to dealing with people that have treated you that way. It can also leave you very disconnected from your own intuition when you have been taught over and over and over again that your values, your comfort zone, your intuition is wrong and bad and shameful. It can be really difficult to even know what it is you want, to even connect with your inner compass, because you've been so conditioned to think that you need to trust in the judgment of other people. You need someone else's approval someone else's opinion before you can act, because your decision making is so flawed, so defective. And it can be quite a process to learn how to hear your own intuition, how to listen to it, and how to trust it, and to know that while the input of other people and the opinions of other people can be very valuable, ultimately at the end of the day, you are the final say on your personal decisions. Your intuition, your decisions, your comfort, your opinions, your values are the most important when it comes to the decisions that you are making for yourself. And it can be really hard to relearn that, or to learn it for the first time when you've been taught your whole life that you need somebody else to approve every decision you make, because you have been taught that your comfort zone, your intuition is unimportant. It doesn't matter, because narcissists will condition you to believe that how you feel about something is nothing more than a nuisance. So it doesn't matter what your values are. It doesn't matter what your inner voice is telling you to do, right? And your inner voice, your intuition, your comfort zone is defective, and it's not something you can trust. It's really important, if you've been conditioned to believe these things or to feel this way, to come back and connect with your own inner compass and your own intuition, and to realize that all those times in your life when somebody was pressuring you so hard to do something that you were uncomfortable with, or something that was really, really difficult that you didn't want to do, that it wasn't that there was anything wrong with you. It wasn't that you had a character flaw. And it wasn't that you just needed to push yourself out of your comfort zone to meet the expectations of someone else. It was that maybe there was something inside of you that was telling you that, hey, this thing that this person or this group wants you to do, maybe this just isn't right for you. Maybe you have a right to sit and decide, connect with yourself and ask yourself, is this something that's going to be good for me to do? Is there a reason that every fiber of my being is screaming at me not to do this thing that I'm being told I need to do? Maybe there's something inside of me that I should listen to. I think a good example of what I'm talking about is something I learned when I went into sales. I was in a sales job for a little bit where I was pressured to cold call people, to knock on doors, and I hate doing that. And I think a lot of people hate doing that, right? But I was just being bombarded with these messages of pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, and really achieving your goals by doing things, getting comfortable being uncomfortable, right? And there's value to that. You're never going to achieve anything if all you ever do are things that are comfortable. But I think there's a big difference between overcoming your fears, doing things that you're a little scared to do, or pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, and forcing yourself to do things that your intuition, your identity, your values are screaming at you not to do. Things that are like a cheese grater on your soul. And narcissists don't care about that, because they're only looking out for what's going to benefit them. And sometimes what benefits them is just knowing that they can control you. So I again want to reiterate, if something inside of you is screaming at you not to do something, if you feel extremely uncomfortable with something, it doesn't mean that you need to just push beyond that to achieve whatever goal somebody else has set for you. Sometimes it's okay to just stop and ask yourself why something's making you uncomfortable. And maybe there's actually a really good reason for that. You have the right to listen to your intuition. You have the right to say no to things that make you uncomfortable, or things that just feel wrong for you, for your values, for your identity. Because when someone else expects you to betray your identity and your values for what they want, for their benefit, and you give in to that, you will lose yourself in exchange for nothing at all. I hope this helps. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and comment below any ideas you have for me for future videos. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like this video and would like to see more like it in the future. Until next time, thanks. Bye.